Yeah, there were no actual votes taken in executive session, and I have one piece of correspondence. Letter from the North Providence Town Council indicating that the council passed a resolution asking us to form a subcommittee for the purpose of reviewing aspects of the high school athletic field and the baseball field. I am going to refer communication to our building committee, and I think Jim Ferroli is here this evening. Jim, you to talk about a couple of comments about that, the athletic fields and stuff? Thank you, Jim. By the way, my apologies for starting a little late this evening, but we had a lot of business to deal with this. Thank you.
All right. We have one proposal we received the other day. I have two others that we're working on. We should know within a month of what the final prices. We got some prices, but we have to get a couple more. They think we can save the existing field. All right. And there is new lights being installed in the high school field, LED lights. Right.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Next item, we're going to move the awards to the state champions. We have the state champion freshman team, basketball team here this evening. We're sorry we started a little late, but we're doing this so you can get home and do your homework also. And go ahead.
If you need a pass tomorrow, let me know, okay? So congratulations to the freshman boys basketball team. We're ever so proud of you. Happy to have such a great crowd here tonight, both our players, student athletes, and their families. Do you want me to read their names to start? Can I have them come up? And then we'll give it to them, okay?
Well, either way.
She has the list. Yeah, I have the list.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
If I could please have the following student athletes come forward. Gabriel Newell, Antonio Albanese, Justin Rubino, Maximus Matt. I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on. Matters. Oh wait, we'll help you with them in a minute. Okay. Okay. Hyman Muhammad, Evan Tobin, Christopher Harvey, Jalen Bedell, Darian Acosta. I'm very sorry if I'm pronouncing your names incorrectly too. You'll have Gilbert Solo, Omarion Vidal, Jason Onier, Nicholas Riolis, John DiCarmo. Please come forward. All right, guys.
This is like, should I play the Olympic team?
Like that? All right. Okay, face that way. Okay. All right.
Who's the point guy?
The height. We can tell, right? We can tell.
Who's the point guy?
So congratulations. Tell us what your record was. 15 and 0.
And you had Ray Cloutier for a coach? You had Ray Cloutier for a coach?
Where is your coach? Very proud of you. We know you'll continue to make us very proud, continue in our athletics program, keep your grades up, and make us very proud here. So congratulations. You get your own North Providence style of Olympics match. Okay? All right, here we go. A Cougar medal, okay? Congratulations. We're proud of you. All right. You need a pass to get out there later. Okay? Well, thank you very much. All right. Congratulations.
shot. No, I'm on the bus. I know Ray.
Like, which the list is.
Ray get a medal too?
Ray, I'm glad you're coming up.
I said to these guys, he's the best. They said yes.
Congratulations, Ray.
Ray's the best.
All right, congratulations. Olympic medal.
Ray, this is like an Olympic moment.
Good job, guys.
You're looking at our future right here. This is our future right here, these guys. Thank you very much.
Take him out. Head out.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good luck, fellas. Very good. Oh, Ray, just put his time.
Wait a minute.
So, let me just get my.
Okay.
So they're not note V.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to give you a quick update on facilities, various programming for the upcoming school year, staffing, an elementary innovation team. So we continue to meet with SLAM and Gilbane and the Rhode Island Department of Education. I just received the very latest schematic designs for the 2 new buildings. I have been on a listening and learning tour with all of the elementary teachers, so I've had an opportunity to meet with teachers at each elementary school to talk about what some of those health and safety upgrades will look like in each individual building, and not just the construction of the 2 new buildings. We are at the point where we are making decisions about the new furniture, fixtures, equipment that will be in all schools. Right now, we are in the what we call phase 1 of elementary planning, and we are pulling together an elementary design and innovation team. We've invited all elementary teachers, anyone who's interested, elementary administrators, and an invitation will be going out to parents of elementary students. And what we're doing right now is really looking at programming, looking at specialty programs, very similar to what we have designed at the middle school and high school levels with multiple pathways. Understanding that even our youngest students have special interests. Some of those ideas that have been sort of tossed out there to think about include STEAM, the fine arts, looking at possibilities exploring international baccalaureate, looking at environmental sciences. So whatever areas of interest our students and parents tell us are important to them is what we really plan to explore. So I've shared live binders with all of our elementary teachers and administrators at this point to get them thinking about what the possibilities are. In all of my meetings with the elementary teachers at every school, I've said we have a great opportunity here in front of us, not just because we have 2 new schools being built, but because we have a blank canvas in front of us, and we can really create anything we want it to be. So we're going to be focusing a great deal of our attention on the elementary grades. The last thing is Health and Wellness Committee. We have sent out invitations to all families and staff in North Providence to join the Health and Wellness Committee. Because there are so many subcategories of health and wellness, we will have subcommittees. So we will have our Tools for Schools program, which will look at the environmental quality of our schools. We will have fitness and wellness. We'll have our nutrition, which will include our food services, which we have on our agenda tonight. So there are many categories that will make up the Health and Wellness Committee. So we are looking for as many people as possible to serve on that committee. We will need more volunteers. So we have a lot going on right now. We're taking a close look at staffing as we build the budget. We're looking at programming and how we can best deliver services for all students. So that's the end of my report. All right, and finally, the academic calendar survey we distributed to all families and staff members. We had approximately 800 people respond, which was excellent. We were thrilled about that. 44% of the respondents were North Providence faculty, staff members. The other 56% were made up of family members and community members. So I have shared the results of the survey with the school committee. The majority of people who responded opted for returning the February break to the academic calendar, starting school just before Labor Day. And those are basically the major changes. So I have shared a calendar that I've recommended to the school committee. Whether or not the school committee chooses to vote tonight, I'm not sure if they will, and we can certainly have further discussion as a committee if you're not ready to vote. So this was just my recommendation based upon the survey results.
Old school calendar. Gina?
I would like to move it to the next session because I did not receive the survey results until tonight and I haven't had a chance to review. So I would like to be able to review that document before I make any decisions.
Okay, motion by Mr. Picard to move it to next month.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. De Silva. Discussion, all those in favor? All those ayes have it, so voted. The next on our agenda is school safety discussion. We have here police chief. We have Lieutenant Scott here. Thank you very much for coming. And Bridget.
Yep. Okay. Okay. So welcome, Chief Tikoyan, Chief of Staff Fossa, Lieutenant Scaramuzzo, Officer Kevin, and Officer Dante. So thank you very much for joining us tonight for this quick overview and brief discussion. So before we get into too many details, I would like to just start by offering my heartfelt and sincere thanks to the North Providence Police Department, all the way from the chief right to our SROs who are in our schools each day, Lieutenant Scaramuzzo, with whom I'm in constant contact too much, I think sometimes. He gets a little tired of hearing my voice, but I was writing something today about the partnership that we have with the North Providence Police Department and how they are such an integral part to what I do as a superintendent each and every day. First and foremost, keeping our students safe and keeping our schools safe, our staff safe. So we know that our students can't learn if they don't feel safe. So that is really the foundation of what we do. And a lot of people don't see that partnership each day, but I can assure you that the communication is there, the support is there, and we are tremendously fortunate to have certainly the three officers at this table over here who really are our lifeline each and every day. So I'm very indebted to these gentlemen for the work they do, and certainly thank the chief for allocating those resources to the school department. It is so important. So I wanted to provide basically just a refresher the school committee and to the community regarding our school safety measures. And I think the most important thing to understand and to know is that our school safety plans are really never finished plans. So what I mean by that is certainly we have our plans, they're complete, they're shared, they're communicated with our staffers. We're constantly going back to the table and saying, what can we learn from maybe new best practices that have been distributed perhaps by the National Safety Council, FEMA, CDC. So we really do try to stay ahead of what those recommendations are. So all of our do have emergency response plans in place. We have our district emergency response plan as well. Those plans really address those major situations where we may be in an emergency. So something that would require a lockdown or an on-site or off-site evacuation, certainly fire, shelter in place, all of those types of events. We have very specific action plans, and we know what we need to do in the event of emergencies that require those actions. One thing that I appreciate is that I'm having played the role of district emergency response coordinator in the Smithfield Public Schools. It's refreshing to come here and see the partnership that's already established with the police department, and really kind of take a fresh set of eyes and look at the plan that's in place. And certainly Mrs. Seitzinger coming from Coventry, we always learn from other communities, and we try to take the best of the best and incorporate it. So that's one of the things that the district safety team is in the process of doing, and just looking at what those other plans look like and see if we have anything that we can do to improve. The one thing that I would like to mention that is of utmost importance to us, we feel like we're doing everything in our power here at the school district level, individual building levels, certainly at the police department, as our partners, fire department. But one of the pieces that could be missing, and we want to encourage people to participate with us and support us, is that parent piece and our students. They play such an important role. Certainly our students are often the first to be made aware of warning signs of any possible danger. And those students who come forward and tell a trusted adult, perhaps it's their parent, perhaps it's a teacher, an administrator, really in the cases where we, not only here in our community, but across the country, where tragedies are avoided, it's typically because somebody has come forward and shared that they have a concern. So we want to encourage our parents and our students to continue to do that, communicate with us, communicate with any of our officers, any of the teachers. If that's not something that a parent or a student or even a staff member is comfortable doing, we have created what we are calling a TIPS reporting form. And it can be found on our district website, right on the front page. And the reporting form allows anybody to go online, it's a web-based form, and report, and they can even report anonymously, but any concern that they might have, any incident that may have occurred, whether it be a bullying incident, a threat, some form of discrimination, a parent complaint. So we have this form there, and we check this. We've had it up for 2 days now. We've checked it every day. We haven't had any complaints or reports yet, but it's just one more avenue for people to go ahead and provide us with important information. So we encourage you to use that. Let's see. I'm willing to answer any questions that the committee might have. I know that the police department, they're here if there's a question that I can't answer.
Excuse me, Bridget. Yeah, if you want to, yeah. Myself and the superintendent the last couple of weeks have been talking every day, about a numerous amount of things, but particularly school safety. I'm very impressed with our police department and our fire department. By the way, I should mention Richard Foss is here representing the mayor, which I appreciate you coming tonight, Dick. Thank you very much. But I must say this, I think we're ahead of the curve a little bit as far as school safety, because we're talking about it every day. We're not only talking, we're acting upon certain things. Certain things you really can't say because we don't want to give tips to the wrong people. I think the biggest issues we have is mental health issues. And I think when people stop focusing on some of these very sick people that need this help, that will go a long way in preventing some of the tragedies that we've witnessed. You know, you can have metal detectors, you can have guards at the doors, whatever else you want, but if you don't prevent some of these people that have the sickness from getting these weapons, then what good is it? So I think that has to be all looked at. I guess legislation, maybe state and federal, would probably have to be proposed. And my only hope is that we continue on the path that we're on. I think we're on a very good path as far as safety is concerned. I think our goal is, you know, after 9/11, we never thought our skies would be safe again. So if we can make our skies safe, we should be able to make our schools safe. And I will call on the Chief of Police if he'd like to say a few words. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and honorable members of the committee, and Superintendent asked that I be here today, and I'm happy to be here this evening. And I couldn't agree with your remarks more, Mr. Chairman, about the mental health issues. And additionally, I will be very measured on my comments because, as you said, there's some things that are not appropriate for me to speak about. But I would like to touch on, you know, what's currently in place, God bless you, what have we done recently, and some of our plans going forward. I'd also like to echo the sentiments of the superintendent that our police department and the school department enjoy a very professional working relationship and maintain constant communication. And again, I don't want to belabor it, but those gentlemen right there, Lieutenant Scaramuzzo, Officer Rizzitti, and Officer Ginden, deserve a lot of credit for the work they do day in and day out with the school department. They're dedicated members, and they're on top of it, and they do keep me informed. And I'll be brief, but experts will tell you it's about striking a balance in the schools with security and freedom. You don't want it to be a prison environment. You want it to be an educational environment. So I think in North Providence, we've struck that balance. Currently in place, you know, we have 2 SROs. We have the lieutenant who's in charge of that. We do have a shooter detection system in place here. We've also implemented the ALICE system, and I will tell you that for K through 12, that is a best practice. I cannot take credit for that. That was in place before I got here, so kudos to whoever put that. I'm assuming that Lieutenant Scaramuzzo might have had involvement with that, but that is for K through 12 educational. Also, we have in place, we do the lockdown drills routinely. And there's some other protocols in place that we do routinely. So, and what have we done recently in response to national events recently? I can tell you that we've conducted a test of our shooter detection system, and it performed well. We're seeking to enhance that, the capabilities of that. We've increased our presence in and around the schools with uniformed police officers, and I've asked the department captain of the patrol division to make it a part of their duties every day to randomly go into each and every school. Go inside, introduce yourself to the school principal. I'm Officer so-and-so. I'm in this area. If you need, this is my phone number. If you need me, walk through there. Spend some time. I want it logged into IMC that's happened, and I've received very good feedback in the community from that. We've also done a review of all the school buildings in terms of doors, windows, locks, whatever needs to be repaired, if any. That was conducted in the last couple of weeks, and we're evaluating some infrastructure upgrades in terms of glass surfaces that could be pending. So those are some things that we've done recently. In the short-term goals, what do we have on the horizon? We thought it might be a good idea next week to address the student body at the high school and both junior highs. I will avail myself, along with Lieutenant Scaramuzzo. And it's a three-pronged message. First, about safety to the student body, that, you know, we're partners in this. We need good communication with them. If you see something, say something, just as you said, about making good decisions, especially when it comes to social media and so forth. And, you know, the consequences if you choose to do something that isn't appropriate on social media. So we thought that would be good. And on an operational plan, I've scheduled a drill, an active shooter drill during the April vacation with our police officers responding. I'd like to do 3 different scenarios, maybe at 2 different schools. And we're seeking to have a partnership with the fire department to drill with us on that. So that's what I have in place as a goal going forward. And really, I'm thankful for the opportunity to be before you tonight to share some of our response to what's happened. And I'll be happy to, if I can, answer any questions you may have.
Does anyone have any questions of the chief? I just have a comment. I see your police officers in and out of the schoolyards all day, you know, and I drive around, and they're in schools, going in schools. I love that police protection that we have. I think it makes parents feel good, it make the students feel good, and of course the educators. So I thank you very much for your cooperation. You're doing a great job, by the way.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is my job, so I appreciate those kind words, but we're here to work as a team, and whatever we can do to help the community, we're ready, willing, and able to do
Right,
that.
and sure, Lieutenant Scaramuzzo I have more contact with than the other 2 fellas. I see them a lot, but I see him a lot also. Great job. Thank you very much for what you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I don't have any questions for you, so I'm going to let you go unless somebody else does. I just have I would like to review. I know our schools are all doing the drills per the state guidelines, but I think it would be important for our safety committee, which I know that we have, to review any feedback from the administration and the teachers. Oftentimes, I know when we run drills, there's a memorandum to faculty regarding things that went well, and I know that wouldn't be public because we want to make sure that we don't obviously disclose areas and that need to be strengthened. We want to make sure we work together. But things ensuring that, you know, doors are locking appropriately, that that everyone's adhering to the protocol, that if there's things that need to be fixed, that we're fixing them. So if we could just do maybe even an update at the next meeting, just a review of if there were area concerns, not that we had to disclose specifically, but that they're being addressed and that principals are, in fact, providing feedback to the staff about areas that they need to focus on and areas that are going well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep, that's a great idea, certainly with the drills. Lieutenant Scaramuzzo, Mr. Furley and I met 2 weeks ago approximately, after we had asked our principals to give us an outstanding list of any issues related to the facilities that were in need of repair. Maybe some of the items needed, I don't want to say too much, but needed to be replaced. So we went through the lists that were given to us item by item and determined what we needed to do to rectify whatever was on that list, and then set to get working on that. So Mr. Froley has been working with different vendors to correct whatever deficiencies there were, and then we will revisit that list again next week.
And also, just to be clear, I'm making sure that there's a protocol in place, and just so we're clear about what it is when there's substitutes in the building or substitute staff, and how they're informed of the procedures to ensure that nothing slips through the crack, whether it's clerical or secretaries, TAs, teachers, admin, and what the protocol is, so that there's a way to, onboard them very quickly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Quick reference.
Everybody seems to be working very well as a team.
Yeah. Got it.
Okay.
Well, I'm sorry.
No, I said everybody seems to be working very well as a team.
Okay, I thought you said number
No.
18.
No. Monthly report, I think.
Okay. All right, I did it. All right, so I'd like to thank you for joining us today. Chief, Mr. Fossa, gentlemen, thank you very much. Appreciate all that you do for us. So you're welcome to leave, or you're welcome to stay for the rest. It's up to you. Oh, nice. Enjoy your dinner. Okay.
We say go out to dinner.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Ready?
Yep.
Okay. All right, next item. Be it resolved that at the recommendation of the superintendent, the North Providence School Committee consider and vote to approve the monthly financial report as submitted.
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Picard, seconded by Mr. Iannetta. Discussion, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, ayes have it, so voted. Next item?
Oh, question? Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Andriozzi. The cyber? Oh, see, I have a transportation update. So we are currently awaiting the action plan, the final action plan. They did give us a draft of their action plan moving forward. So after our last major meeting with Durham, the CEO of Durham had assured us that an action plan from March to the end of the year would be put in place, and there are certain deliverables that they are going to either meet, or we have further discussions to be had.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you.
Gentleman that's waving at me. There's a man.
Yeah, he's gonna, 1 second.
Oh, school safety questions?
Yeah, we can revert to, we can revert to that, sure. Go ahead. Come on.
I wish the chief were here.
I know that.
She'll try to help you. Just
Hi, I'm Milton Nakbar. I've lived in this community for close to 40 years, and I've produced television programming for 30, and I taught law in high school for 30.
Excuse me,
So it was a good combination.
Excuse me, I certainly know who you are. Would you just
What's the
mention?
matter?
Would you please say your name for the rest of the
I
committee?
can't, I don't hear that well, Anthony, what?
I said, I know who you are, but
Oh, okay.
so the rest of the
Listen,
committee will know who you are.
Okay, I didn't know that many people recognize me. But having said that, I was taken back by what happened, obviously, in Florida and all of the other tragedies that we've had. And I'm going to be honest with you, I will not mince words. I don't know how much information that the youngsters that go to the high school were aware of one of the topics that was going to be presented tonight, so I don't want to be unfair. But if I saw a couple of hundred kids here, it wouldn't have surprised me. I can only ask you, because I understand, from what I could read between the lines on, is that you do have a serious outlook on protecting the kids regarding the police department and some of the things most people don't know that you do. That's the inference that I drew. And it's very difficult in the kind of position I'm in I'm not trying to act as an advocate, because doing media, you don't want to do that, but yet, being a human being, you have to ask certain questions. And the few that I have, and some's probably in the form of suggestions, I want to know, as a starter, if you people read the District of Columbia versus Heller decision. And if you haven't, you may want to take a look at it. I'm not trying to make this a political thing. I'm not here for that. I want to know what kind of enlightenment you have on the issue and what the students understand. It's an important thing to look into. Whatever transpires tonight, if my instincts are correct, the youngsters here are going to, I think, follow what they see some brave young people down in Florida doing. And they're approaching this issue in a non-political way. They're approaching it based on their experience, which was tragic, and they're also approaching it based on their knowledge. And that's why I'm mentioning that court decision. If I can go on, it will be helpful for you. I really mean, the name of the decision was, it was District of Columbia versus Heller. Right, the majority decision was written by Antone Scalia, and very, very knowledgeable jurist. He passed away a few years ago. In fact, we had a Supreme Court Justice, Speaker Temple Bethel, only a couple of weeks ago. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was very friendly with her. She had nothing but nice things to say about him. But having said that, when you read the decision, you're going to find, based on at least my interpretation of it, is that you're going to find that the Second Amendment isn't sacrosanct. It's subject to interpretation. And having said that, you want to read the minority decision, was written by, in this particular case, it was Stephen Breyer, very bright. And you got to read between the lines on this and look at an interview that was done by, in this particular case, it was done by Chris Wallace. And it's not the station that I always watch, but I happen to pick it up on the internet. And he interviewed Scalia. And Scalia even stated, if you look at the inference on his comments, and I think it's important that you people do this, because he's even agreeing with Breyer in some cases, even though at the end he says he disagreed. But if you look at it scholastically and follow exactly what he said, he's saying that he goes back historically in what the the Second Amendment states, but he also continues, and it's that continuation of his comments that is very telling. And he's saying it can be subject to change. Just like you can't yell fire in a theater, there's a lot of questions on these high-powered weapons. And I know you have a tremendous support from the police department. You have a terrific pick for a chief of police, there's no doubt about it. I spoke to him earlier. But let me just say this, that you'd be remiss if you don't make yourself knowledgeable about these issues, because the kids need guidance in the area of law, particularly in the Constitution, to understand that they have a powerful voice. And I recommend that the school system in general, and the high school in particular, get involved in having these kids understand these kind of things, that they have a right to speak. It's their lives and the people in this school. I worked 30 years in the school. My daughter, late daughter, who went to this school, passed away 9 years ago this May. She took a gun away from a kid in middle school, 5th grade, so that might be elementary, I don't know. I'm not up to date on that thing, but she did. And I'm just saying it happens. And I'm saying that people should, one other thing I'll just mention, there was a doctor that was on the news the other day, and I think nothing could be more poignant than this, and that will motivate you to really take this more seriously than you ever thought. She said, for those people that we handle on a daily basis, and she was talking about a lot of people in a big city that get shot with a handgun, they have a high chance of surviving. When the wound goes into them, comes out, but with the high-powered weapons and what's involved in it, she says it would be equivalent to dropping a watermelon on the floor. You can't put the pieces together. I just want to try to do that to give you some context. I'm stepping out of my role as somebody in the media It's just my heart is into that thing, and I.
No, I appreciate you
So I
coming.
I didn't want to go on. You know, I'm a talker. And I don't
no,
wanna
I
kill-
know, I
I don't
know.
want to kill your meeting, but I could, when I saw nobody, I could see there were very few kids here, and I just felt compelled. I told Anthony I probably wouldn't say anything, but there weren't any kids here. That saddened me, I have to be honest with you.
Listen, thank you,
So I
thank
hope
you
it
very much
helps.
for your insight. Thank you very much. Next item.
Thank you very much. Your comments were well received. I appreciate it. And I agree with you. Our students do have a very powerful voice, and we want them to use that voice appropriately. So I appreciate your comments tonight and for you caring. Thank you.
So I know the next is for field trips. My concern is that I have an issue with trying to approve field trips that have already occurred. So if upon speaking with legal, it appears that we could be placing ourselves in liability if schools are in fact having field trips without seeking the school committee approval. So I will approve the first 3. I am not approving 2 that have already occurred because I feel that it would be putting myself and the rest of the committee at risk. For future reference, I think it needs to be clear to our schools that when we're planning field trips, that they have to be prior to the trip the month before. I don't think that's too much to ask. 4 weeks' notice is
I agree.
not terrible.
I
But
agree
I
with
will
you.
not be, my vote will only be for the first 3, so maybe we could take it in sections, but I'm not comfortable voting on trips that have occurred.
But why don't you make a motion, Gina, on the ones that you think are proper, okay?
So the ones that have not occurred, so we have 3,
Okay.
2, Ritchie High Meadows Resort, Ritchie Lake Compounds,
Yep.
North Providence High School Grade 11 AP, New York City 9/11 Memorial Museum. I will make a motion to approve those 3 field trips as
Okay.
submitted.
Motion by Mr. Picard, seconded by Mr. Andriosi. Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, so voted. You're absolutely right on that, by the way.
And I'm not sure how you, maybe legal action, what we should do in the fact that there are 2 field trips that are here that are not, that have already occurred, unless these are incorrect dates.
Unless there's an error. Yeah, I don't know. Check that out, someone, okay? Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much. I
agree, Gina.
Yeah.
What's that?
Right, so it should be a January.
Beforehand.
Yep.
I understand.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
We'll fix that.
All right. Yeah, they should be in before. You know. Next item, please.
Yep.
Retirements, I think there's one.
We didn't say, okay, so you did the field trips then?
Yep.
Okay. Be it resolved that at the recommendation of the superintendent, the North Providence School Committee consider and vote to approve the retirements as submitted.
Motion by Mr. Iannetta, seconded by
Second?
Mr. Andriosi and Mrs. Picard. Discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, so voted, and that's what we regret. I think that's about a 30 or 35-year teacher that retired. Yeah, excuse me? 38? Well, it's
She's
close.
amazing.
35. All right, next item.
Be it resolved that at the recommendation of the superintendent, the North Providence School Committee consider and vote to approve the resignations as submitted.
Motion by Ms. Iannetta, seconded by
Second?
Mrs. Picard. Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, so voted. Next item.
Be it resolved that at the recommendation of the superintendent, the North Providence School Committee consider and vote to approve the leaves of absence as submitted.
Motion by Mr. Iannetta, seconded by Mr. Andrio. Oh, okay. You want to second it, Steve, or no? No?
Not yet.
Okay. Go ahead.
So there's one that's on here that has a FMLA from February 2nd to the 23rd, the return date was 2 days ago. So what are we approving?
Did you hear that, Mr. Sidoti?
So should I have voted on this last?
We actually,
We haven't received that one, that's a different one, I'm issue.
So how did we, I have a question, how did we receive a leave of absence? I'm voting for accepting her leave of absence that occurred this whole past month.
right. So it was a short leave of absence that started.
She was out for 4 weeks.
2nd to the 23rd, that's 21 days.
We didn't meet, we didn't have the last.
We only had one meeting.
It's gonna be out on FML.
Didn't meet, what are you gonna do?
So there wasn't, our last meeting was before February 2nd. This person then had to go out on FML, right? But it was a short period of time. But actually,
Okay.
yeah,
I'll accept it.
okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, so voted. Next.
Be it resolved that at the recommendation of the superintendent, the North Providence School Committee consider and vote to approve the appointments as submitted.
Motion by Mr. Silva, seconded by Mr. Iannetta. Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Ayes have it, so voted. Question? Someone have, oh, all right.
Okay, next item, be it resolved that at the recommendation of the superintendent, the North Providence School Committee consider and vote to non-renew the certified employees as submitted. Before you vote, I would like to make a statement about non-renewals. State law says that we have to notify non-tenured teachers of the possibility of non-renewal prior to March 1st. That required us to notify some teachers who have a great deal of potential to remain employed in our district beyond the end of the school year. So I wanted to just add that sort of caveat there, that just because these names are listed in your packets does not necessarily mean that these teachers, their non-renewal will be upheld. We reserve the right to rescind these non-renewals. I'm willing to answer any
Okay,
questions.
motion by Mrs. Picard, seconded by
Second,
Mr. De Silva.
and I have discussion purposes,
All
please.
right, discussion. Ronnie? No?
Moi or Ronnie? Me. Oh, I thought you said Ronnie, I'm sorry. Okay. There are no names here. There are no names in the packet. So, in order to vote for this and feel positive about it, what we're saying is that these people, because of a March 1st deadline and the fact that they don't have tenure, we're going forward with that. But we're going to allow the, offer them opportunities to improve, increase, avail themselves of professional development, work more closely with staff members, all of the above, some of the above, and we will be getting updates, perhaps. I totally understand.
All right.
But I'm just looking for an assurance that my yes vote is going to be considered as a yes vote with the proper assurances that we're going to work with these youngsters. They're young teachers. I was a young teacher once. And afford them the opportunities to work with members of this district to improve and have a career here. That's all I'm looking for. I'm not looking to chop anybody's legs off or put anybody on an undue burden, but if we have them in our buildings, I think we owe them an opportunity to grow. Now, if at the end of the year somebody says to me, this person refused to grow, then I understand it, okay. But, you know, you can't, that's the only way I'm going to give this an affirmative vote.
And we agree with you completely on that.
In that
So,
case, you'll have my support.
yep.
That's why we have a discussion.
Discussion? Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. So voted. Next item.
Be it resolved that at the recommendation of the superintendent, the North Providence School Committee consider and vote to immediately suspend without pay and to terminate the employment relationship effective the end of this school year with those certified employees as submitted.
Would
So
you
moved.
repeat the motion, please?
Yep. Repeat the motion, please.
The
I apologize.
resolution, it's not a
Sure.
motion. Sorry.
You want that one, Ben?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
So after a result of hearing and discussion in executive session, the motion for that one should be that at the recommendation of the superintendent, the school committee should consider and vote to terminate the employment relationship of the individual's name that was submitted to the committee and may still be subject to a settlement agreement, but terminate that employment relationship as of the end of this school year.
Okay. All right.
That was the first matter that the committee discussed.
Right.
The second matter that the committee discussed, I believe you agreed that you would pass.
Okay. All right.
Motion made.
So we have a motion by Mr. Silva, seconded by Steve Andriozzi. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it, so voted. The other one?
Be it resolved that at the recommendation of...
Go ahead.
Next one? Yeah, that's what I thought. We don't have any hearings. Be it resolved that at the
Okay. All right. Next item.
Be it resolved that at the recommendation of the superintendent, the North Providence School Committee consider and vote to approve the use of property requests as submitted.
Motion by
Motion made.
Mr. De Silva.
Second.
Seconded by Mrs. Picard.
Discussion, please.
Discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
Discussion.
Yes.
Shall I, or someone else doing it?
All right.
It-
Discussion.
Yeah,
Mr. Andriozzi.
Go ahead.
you can do it because I don't remember how we
Okay.
said it.
Couple of questions. The Birchwood baseball field, I understand that's some children from North Providence, and it's only on Sunday, so I'm really not having a problem with that. From 10 to 3 seems a lot. But if it's for North Providence kids, fine. But I did notice that the address was not a North Providence address. The bottom one, this one-on-one basketball, is a for-profit, and I'm not sure if that fee is per day or for the week. In addition, the North Province Assembly of God, which we're going to approve, but we need to know, they need to know of the facility and all of the charges, so we're going to communicate that again. And there's another one for Torva High School on Saturday. Will they be paying for the custodian? I go too fast on all of those. We can do them one at a time. Okay.
Any further questions?
So I can speak to the baseball. I'm fine with that. Okay, great.
All right,
Mr. Ferroli?
Basketball league that's Frank Luca. Grew up in the town.
Say that again?
That's
I know
Frank.
who
So
Frank is.
Frank, he charges very minimal.
$75.
Yeah, I asked him.
Yep.
He said by the time he pays the coaches, by the time he buys T-shirts, by the time he does it, he said he made seven. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
So you've had the discussion with me
Yes.
also. Okay,
Yep.
I'll support you on that.
Yep. What was the other one? Was that the
Birchwood.
tour at night?
Oh, the tour, it
Is
was
the
a
custodian
morning.
going to be here anyway?
Okay.
So is there no?
Saturday morning, you'll have a custodian here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. Oh,
It's a class of '68.
Yeah. Yes. That's not the first time that's happened. And then the Birchwood thing, I'm fine with that. You've already talked to them? Okay.
And then the Assembly of God, we're going to correspond with them regarding all the fees.
The Assembly of God, the superintendent, I believe, is gonna give them a list of all the things they're gonna have to come up with, plus their insurance. That's gonna be our gym, our auditorium, our classrooms, police. They might have to go to the town council, and fire. She can find that information out. And well, they'll have their insurance. They'll put a rider. That won't be up front to us.
So do we have to put that in
the
any?
rest of that will be, and then we're gonna prove it pending that. If they can do all of that, then fine.
Okay, so do we have to put that in the form of a motion or no?
It's all
So they know?
Yeah, so I'll
Okay.
put that in the form of the motion
Okay.
to add to the motion, Mr. Chairman, that
Okay,
the North Province Assembly of God is granted permission, pending the discussion we had with them already, and that it's all dependent upon the fees, and we
Right.
will communicate all of that to them in writing.
yes, I will. And I talk to that group all the time, Rod. I talk to them all the time, all right?
As far as the high school, our facilities director just indicated there'd be a custodian here anyway. So we're
Okay. Further discussion? All right. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, so voted. Next item.
Be it resolved that at the recommendation of the superintendent, the North Providence School Committee consider and vote to approve the list of bills as submitted.
Motion by...
So moved.
Let's see, who made them? Gina? Gina Picard, seconded by Mr. Silva, Mr. Iannetta, and Mr. Angiozzi, and the entire committee. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, so voted. Next item.
Be it resolved that at the recommendation of the superintendent, the North Providence School Committee consider and vote to approve the senior class trip as submitted.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Picard, seconded by Mr. Iannetta. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, so voted. Next.
Okay, we're moving the next item to the March agenda, so we can.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
All right, next item is be it resolved that the recommendation of the superintendent, the North Providence School Committee consider and vote to approve the solicitation of bids from food service companies.
We need a motion on the bill.
Motion made.
Motion by Mr. Iannetta, seconded by Mr. Silva. Discussion?
Yes, quick question. Is this because it's up for bid and it's state law? Okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it, so voted. How about the survey?
So the survey that was presented to you by Tri-County for your approval to be distributed to middle school and high school students. Upon very close review of that survey, I wanted to make sure that the committee knows that the questions that I believe you had concern with the previous year have either been eliminated or greatly modified.
I think the previous year was a different survey. That was from the Department of Health.
Right.
This is, they've been modified, right.
So there were questions that this committee may be uncomfortable with having students answer, but based upon what I understand your concerns were with the previous survey, they're certainly not anywhere as thank you, probing, invasive, as what the previous survey you denied.
It's also my understanding that in order to take the survey, parents have to sign off on it.
That is correct. Now, my major concern, after reading every question, I find it to be, and I'm not a psychometrician, I did not develop the survey, I find some of the questions to be redundant, repetitive.
It's the nature of a survey.
Yes, and it is a long survey. And so we have to think about how precious time is to us, and do we want to allocate that amount of time to our students completing that survey. Now, if it's something that's done outside of school, that's the pleasure of the committee, but I was very concerned about the length of time it would take to complete.
Well, how long do you think it would take a student to go through this in a class, supposedly in a classroom setting?
Well, it would depend on the classroom, right? I'd have the child had to have it read to them, if depending on the accommodations that they may be necessary.
I don't think anybody's expecting to read to them.
No, what I'm saying is, if someone says it's okay, we would, as a staff, have to then provide someone to read the survey if students needed the accommodation.
Only if it was in that child's IEP.
Or
I'm talking
504.
about everybody.
Yes, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I believe Mrs. Picard said
Have any
it would
questions?
take about half hour to an hour. Is that what you said, Mrs. Picard? Based upon what you saw, that's what I thought, probably
Half an
about.
hour to 45 minutes, 45 minutes
What do
to
you,
an hour?
What do you think,
Can we
Mrs.
narrow it
Picard?
down?
Yeah, my as yours is that instructional time I think is really important. I think if the survey happen outside of the school day, that's where it should happen. Parents can have options of where their children can take the survey, but as far as giving up instructional time, that's where my concern lies.
I'm opposed to giving up instructional time, I'll be honest with you. If they want to do the survey outside of school time, I have no problem with
Can it be
that.
done in the health class? A lot of these seem to be health related. Can it be done in health class?
But it still pulls away from the typical curriculum instruction. I mean, health, as you know, there's so many health issues
A lot of
and
these
things
could
they're
be,
dealing with.
A lot of these questions could spur a discussion in health class.
We don't get access to the data in a timely way where they could actually
No,
input
no,
it.
no. I'm not saying the answers, but I'm saying the nature of the questions.
Can it be done
I
during
can-
gym?
Well,
Well,
let me
health
just,
class.
let me run through a list of the nature
Sure.
of the questions.
Okay.
There are, again, this is for 7th to 10th graders.
Right.
Questions regarding sexuality, gender identification, drug use and alcohol use, weapons, bullying, social media, behaviors such as stealing, lying, and their moods, suicide, their parents. There are 53 different questions. So when I went through it, my notes say it's lengthy.
Well, I don't know. My feeling is not to take away from school time.
I don't like the survey, period. I don't like the nature of some of the questions, so I'm going to vote against the survey no matter when they take it. If they want to do it personally with a parent at their home, that's fine. As far as school times, I'm out.
Okay. So didn't we say that the parents have to sort of like okay this?
According to Tri-Community, the parents have to sign off in order for them to take it. They have to. They have to sign a permission slip for them to do. No, they're not allowed to take it without parent.
Okay. Yeah. Why don't we make a motion?
I make a motion to reject the survey during school time.
I second it.
With that, I'd rather have it not school time. Okay. All right, so she makes a motion to reject it during school time. Stephen seconded.
I think it would have to, if they wanted to solicit parents to come to a location, or they would have to send sort of a memorandum of where they could come to take the survey. They could utilize pediatricians, health offices, nearby clinics.
No affiliation with the school.
So,
All right.
No affiliation with the school.
So is part of the discussion, is it possible for Tri-Town to provide this electronically? People who want to take the survey could sign off on it, give an email address, send it to them electronically, and send it back to Tri-Town, or Tri-Community, we call it, Tri-County. Is that an option?
Because we send it via Skyward anyway. All the messages go home via the email.
So in that,
just have to
in
note
that
that in
case,
there.
we could help that Tri-Community organization have access to their survey, and it would not take instructional time. Parents could still sign off on it, knowing that they're going to get electronically, take it, their kids could take it, send it back to them electronically.
A motion on that then.
I just put that in the form of a motion.
But we haven't voted on the other motion.
Yep.
Can I ask a clarifying question with
Yes.
that? So if this is not in a web-based format, okay,
Okay.
would the committee be agreeable to have this scanned and sent as a PDF attachment to parents through our Skyward system?
If Tri-Town does it, yeah. No, I mean, I'm saying, so you do it as a favor to them?
I
The committee want that, is
I have no problem
I
with that.
personally don't want that.
Okay, let's have a motion.
We have to vote on the rejection of the survey first.
All right. Motion by Mrs. Picard. Second by Mr. Palmieri. Want to repeat your motion so everybody's on
A
board?
motion to reject the survey during instructional time during the school day,
Okay.
or having us affiliated with the survey.
All right. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, so voted.
So we may have just defeated it by saying affiliated with us in any way, because if we did send it through electronically, then I suppose in some way that's affiliated with us. But my motion would be to, if we could, talk to Tri-County, and see if they'd be willing to, again, parents would have to sign, and they could get the results electronically. If they don't have that capability, we have the Skyward, and we could just send the data over. If that's my muse in the form of a motion. Right, we're not sanctioning. We're just giving them a vehicle. We're not sanctioning. We're giving them a vehicle to pass the survey out. So quite honestly, I think some of these things kids need to be asked.
Okay, is there a second to Rod's motion?
If I'm not getting a second, then I'll withdraw my motion.
All right, okay. Why don't we just go with the reject on school time, because there's no second to that motion. Okay.
It looks like we're rejecting it altogether because no one seconded my motion to electronically do it. And I don't take things personally, but I'll see you all at next meeting. No, my motion did not get seconded. Yeah, listen, I've done that around before, I'm okay with it. Sounds of silence.
So legal counsel says the only way you could do it that way, Rod, is to put a disclaimer on it.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Legal counsel says that in order to send it electronically via us is to put a disclaimer that we are not affiliated with it.
Then why send it?
Then why send it?
Because you'd be doing a benefit for Tri-Town, and I think some people would benefit from answering
I think there's
this.
other ways for community organizations to reach out to families without having to go through the school department.
True. I don't think they have the access that we have.
I would think that you're just your local pediatricians, you know.
I don't know.
I think they service a lot of people in the town anyway, so I'm sure
So-
they could get the information they need.
What was shared with us by Tri-County is that by North Providence not participating, it puts them at
Crimping
risk
their
for
budget.
getting federal funds
Correct.
that then benefit our community.
Correct.
So I'm not proposing that we approve anything. Believe me, I'm just.
They could talk to after school providers. I agree with, there's lots of other venues that they could seek out.
We're heading toward a motion to adjourn.
No, we have 2 minutes.
We have to do minutes, correct?
Yes.
We gotta get going now, let's go.
Are we ready?
We paid by the hour?
I make a motion to approve and seal the executive session minutes pursuant and applicable to provisions of Rhode Island General Law 42-46-4 and 5 for January 24th, 2018.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Over and the entire committee, and also, anyone, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. And a motion to approve the general session minutes. A very nice job, by the way, Mr. De Silva, for January 24th, 2018.
Appreciate it.
Aye.
Second.
Mr. Iannetta, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Meeting adjourned at 9:10.